Well, welcome back to the studio. We promised you three very unique individuals in the studio. And of course, they just told me that they usually don't appear on this side of the camera. They're usually used to being on the other side of the camera.
Oh, yeah.
But for the first time, we have the privilege and the honor of having these three gentlemen in the studio. We just showed you somebody from Hollywood. Let's talk about the Sri Lankan stars of who can do a lot more when it concerns Sri Lankan movies, as well as they've gone absolutely international this time around. And they've done it well. One of these gentlemen has done it over and over and over and again. And this time you're going to see it just in Colombo as well. You have the production lighting up screens this evening or this morning. This morning. From this morning we're going to start things off. So we'll talk about all that. Let's introduce everybody who's in the studio at the moment. First and foremost, we have Mr. Errol Kelly. He's production designer as well as art director. There's a lot to talk about him. And also right next to him we have Mr. Gopi Dharmaratnam, who needs a little bit of a shift in his careers and took up as a production accountant. Good morning to you as well.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And we also have Mr. Ainsley De Silva, line producer and production manager in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning
to
to
you,
you
gentlemen. Nice to have all three of you. I was told first and foremost that Mr. Errol Kelly is a little bit of a silent character. He prefers to do his work in his mind than depict it to everybody so that they can see it. But let's have a chat with him. Well, Errol, just tell us a little bit about, let's just start off with working with Dr. Lester James Pieris.
Yeah, I think I was very fortunate to work under his banner when I started my work in the industry, because I learned a lot working with him and his team.
That experience, how did you take it to productions like Water? By the way, I'm pretty sure everybody's watched Water. And those sets were by a Sri Lankan gentleman seated right next to us. So that's just amazing. How do you get those ideas that you get in? How do you set up something so beautifully and magnificently?
When we get a movie of that magnitude, we read the script first, and then we find the locations. But on this instance, I was sent to Varanasi by Deepa to have a look and come and build Varanasi in Sri Lanka.
And taking on a feat of that magnitude, how did you wrap your head around that fact?
Oh, I'm used to it because I've done it for the last 35 years.
A lot of experience, that counts.
Let's talk about the 35 years of experience. Let's take us back in time, bring us little by little to 2013.
Yeah, first I started with Mr. Lester James Pieris, and then I worked on, I was very fortunate to work on foreign movies that came into Sri Lanka, and worked under production designers who came from other countries like England, Germany, America, and places like that. And I was very fortunate to work on Steven Spielberg's Indiana Jones as art director.
Which was amazing. Big hair.
Yeah. You know, he's a very silent character. Talks very little.
Talks very little, but works a lot.
We're going to get him a little bit more comfortable so that he becomes a little chatty. So we'll talk to Gopi. He's a very chatty person. That much I figured. So Gopi, how did you get into this? Why did you get into this?
Basically, started on finance, was into accounts, and then it was by chance that my services were required by a team that was needed financial assistance, and then they moved over to Malaysia for a movie, and then as I tagged along, or virtually I was drawn into it, and then I learned the ropes, because once you do accounting, you understand the procedure, because you work it backwards and you understand why a certain expenditure is there. Sad, but the truthful part of it is there's no school here to learn anything. It's by trial and error and on the spot, on working on productions that you learn. So if you keep quiet, you'll never learn anything. It's how you speak to people who are in the same trade, and that movie was an American production, so gave me an opportunity to speak to the foreign accountants as well.
All right.
Well, no computer, but yet manage. So that's how you get to learn the trade, and then started with that, got on to production as well. And once you understand the basics of production to a certain degree, then you can do marketing. So I realized you cannot do accounts if you don't have a project. So number one is you need to get a project. So for that you need sales and marketing. And we at the film team have never gone out the country to market anything. It's on the internet. And all our business so far has been word of mouth or the internet that which comes from a website. So it's a marketing tool that we use very well. And some termed him as a silver bullet. I was wondering what the silver bullet was. I couldn't understand. To be honest, like, I was very keen to see, and I checked on this, and I found he solves a problem effortlessly. And that's why they go to him for that part of it. And then I realized, like Lone Ranger, he's there, he comes from nowhere, and he does the job, but he leaves a bullet behind. That's all that is identified by Lone Ranger. That's in a very popular TV series. So just to recall an incident that when you're doing a German movie, and the director was talking about, we had to build an interior of a ship at the Ranmini Thanna's studio. Okay. The vessel, okay, once again, our contacts in Malaysia, we managed to source the vessel, which is a luxury yacht known as the Raja Laut, which operates from Malaysia. So we got it down into the Galle Harbour for filming, and now comes the problem of filming the interior. They look at him because the director also from Germany, Mr. Berengofal, had worked with him before, and he knew he could work out something, and then comes the building of the ship inside. How do we do it? I was with Errol, and we were at Dickwell, I think, on the location scout. Here the director says, I can get the experts from Germany, I have the people, and they'll bring the cranes from there. We are wondering how the cranes are going to come into the studio. We have to remove the roofs. That won't work. So he just to the side and explained to the director, he has a small principle, the principle of the rocking horse. And he built it on that. So it's just that silver bullet. I agree that he's the silver bullet of the film team.
If you put him on a cape and maybe a little bit of a mask, he could be Zorro. Antonio Banderas would be out of a job. We have the Sri Lankan version in the studio. Let's talk to Ainsley as well. He's right in the corner. Let's talk about, he was in the hospitality trade before he got into this. Everybody's been in a little bit of somewhere else and then thought, no, this is my line. When did you figure out this was what you wanted to do, Ainsley?
I would say about 20 years ago, when I realized that I always had this ambition of being in films from the time I was a kid. I've been watching movies and always wanted to be involved. And even though I was doing accounts, I got involved with a company that was doing television productions, and television had just started in Sri Lanka. But my thing was to get involved in that, and I started wanting to do direction. And that's how I got in to try and direct stuff. And I did quite a number of local productions and stuff like that, and then moved into the international film industry as an assistant director, and then now I'm totally involved in production. So after they do their work, I have to see that it's managed within a certain budget. That's the thing that makes it work finally, to see that we are not at a loss. Nobody's at a loss, and everything is on time within the amount of money that is available.
So you're the guy who ensures that everything is profitable?
I would say keeping within the monies that are available.
So he's the one who tells Errol, no, Errol, we can't spend that much, don't be ridiculous. Is it?
Is that the case?
Yeah.
There you go.
So this is the film team we have in the studio. Let's tell us a little. We have another question for Ainsley, don't we?
Oh yeah, line producing. When it comes to line producing, it's not kind of it doesn't actually happen that much in Sri Lanka, I suppose. Would you like to just tell us a little bit about line producing and so on?
See, I would say it's also a glorified title for a production manager. That's what it is. But a foreign production comes in here with their producers, and then they will want somebody to line produce. It means to handle the job. That is to get everything from equipment to crew, setting up the art department to see that they have all the material they want on time, and like I said, always within the budget. And when it comes to the filming itself, there are so many facilities that are needed: crew, equipment, transport, hotels, food, to see that everything flows, because we cannot have any breaks, because everything is, time is money, like they say. There is a schedule for the day, and that has got to be completed. So to complete that, you have to ensure that all the items, all the ingredients that go into making a film for the day is there. So that is the responsibility of the line producer.
So let's come back to Errol now. Let's hope he's going to talk a little bit more now this time. So Errol, let's tell us about what we see right here. Let's tell us a little bit about this. Let's get it on. Let's get it on cam. This is going to be today in the morning by around 10:15 a.m. if I'm not mistaken. That's when movie theaters open. This is going on screen, and who's involved in this? The film team. Errol, let's tell us about this production.
When we first got the script for this movie, The Midnight Children, we were a bit scared about it because there are 65 locations and to be shot in Colombo, and they didn't want to go out of Colombo. That was a big task.
So you figured all 65 within Colombo?
Yes.
Oh, wow. 65.
That's a difficult task.
So, Errol, let's tell us a little bit about the movie and how the production panned out.
Yeah, we found the 65 locations, and there was a challenging part that we had to build a slum, and the slum had to be destroyed and burnt down. So that was a big challenge, and doing it in Colombo. So we were shooting, we found a location called Appalwata, which is a real slum, and then there was a playground just adjacent to it, and we thought we could build our slum on this playground. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, there was a stream running between the playground and the real slum. So when we burnt down the village, the slum, the fires wouldn't carry to the other side because there was about a 15 feet.
The actual slum didn't burn down, right?
No.
You're sure about this? Well, we might have claims coming in after the show.
We built our own slum and burnt it down.
So, right. And with that, I think we have the trailer ready. Let's take a look at this.
A new name for a new beginning. Great things in store for you, my son.
I was born in the city of Bombay, once upon a time. Mysteriously handcuffed to history, my destiny forever chained to my country's.
At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
We were the promises of independence. And like all promises, made to be broken.
100 years of decent, honorable government, and then all of a sudden it's up and off.
People need each other. We have to stay together now. Everything else is breaking apart.
Martial law is imposed with immediate effect. Therefore, on my command, we assume control of the state.
Come back to me.
Your face, it's so beautiful. The world is not ideas, the world is things. If you don't have things, you find. I'm going to take your life away, but you took mine.
The empire on which the sun never sets.
A child and a country were born at midnight, once upon a time.
Welcome back to the studio. The trailer just got me. I'm going to watch that movie, so I guess everybody who just saw that is pretty much thinking down the same lines. Let's go to Gopi again. Gopi, bringing this whole production together, how was the experience working?
Well, it was a challenge right from the start, doing sales and marketing. So I spoke with the producer, knew him before, have worked on a project, David Hamilton. And then quietly we realized the importance of getting the locations, and Errol, I used to go with Errol on his location scout, learned a lot from him as well. And then to get the permissions and all that, and by the way, I should tell you there's another partner in the film team. He's not unable to be with us, he's on location at the moment, Mr. Ravindra Randenia.
Yeah.
So, like, it was, so much was involved. Like, if we talk about the production part of it, the logistics, I mean, you are talking about 3 different countries and a period, 1947 to the 70s. 3 different countries mean 3 different languages,
Yes.
3 different signages. And you have to be careful of all that. For example, you saw a train sequence starting off the same station, Mardana station.
Okay.
The departing sequence is depicting Agra, and when he comes out from the station, he's in Bombay. It's another place. But you know how the talented Errol makes use of places like that. So that's how
we need to ask Errol about this. Errol, how do you make Sri Lanka not look like Sri Lanka?
With signage, costumes, and the props we use, all that counts.
How do you picture it changing?
Yeah.
How do you picture changing Sri Lanka and what it looks like suddenly? The skyline also has to change, like domes, like India has a lot of domes in their skylines. So you add domes and stuff like that as well into the skyline.
Amazing how he thinks about it.
And say the cost involved in a big production like this. How big is it? Don't give us exacts, but...
I think the producers of this film spent about $1 million in Sri Lanka. They brought in that much because they had so many actors, so much of equipment that had to be brought in, and the equipment from Sri Lanka, crew, transport. I mean, there were actors moving in and out of India because the schedule was so long and they cannot stay here. They are brought in only for the period that they are shooting and they go back. So that's a huge expense. But it all has got to be managed. That's the beauty of it. You know, that's the challenge.
And that's your job. You see, when productions come out, Gopi, how important is it to sell it to the public? Selling that idea, the concept that you have mooted, you brought out in your drama, sending it to the public, how hard a task is it?
Honestly, this is the first time that we are doing a distributorship of a movie. We are into production, that is our bread and butter. But when we realize that when we go, now we are going into other productions as well, when you go to the same parties, they ask when can we see the movie. For the support that they are given, we realize the importance of bringing it down purely in appreciation for the wonderful support that was given by the government, from the president to even the shopkeepers or everyone that was involved, so that they could see for themselves. And far as we are concerned, we are trying to show that the country is back to normal. We went through a period that we managed to get a couple of commercials here and there to survive. But with this, I am sure the rest of the world, and as a matter of fact, we have got many inquiries subsequent to doing this movie in Sri Lanka of this magnitude. So like it's something that gives us the strength, and it's a team effort that matters.
Of course.
We have a large, I mean, if I say, I think we had a crew, we are doing finance, you understand how many people who are involved in the project.
Yeah.
I think crew-wise, we would have had about 150 to 160. Transport, 35, 40 or 50 vehicles. Then the cost and the...
all those
My brows are high, I can't.
No, but once we have a team, I mean, when you say accounting, there are at least about 5 or 6 working in that department. I think our department would have about 20 or 30. So like that, you know, depending on the magnitude of the project, we have people. And we are thankful that the industry is there. There are people who are freelance. I mean, it's just the 4 of us who are there in the film team. Everyone is outsourced. So, but we pick, I mean, we have the talent that is available in Sri Lanka, of people who are willing, and the passion, that is the one that matters. It's not just doing a job to say, okay, I worked on a movie. It's a dedication. It's a passion that you put in, because the satisfaction that we have after a movie is that when you say it's a wrap, that's real satisfaction. So once, as you asked about this, I know we will definitely be able to this. There's a massive audience who have read the book, who love to see the thing, but 600 pages into a 130-page script is amazing. So that's what I don't want to talk much about the movie, but it's something that is there, showcase Sri Lanka, and gave us the opportunity to show that Sri Lanka is the ideal filming location in Southeast Asia.
So let's not drop too many hints about the movie itself, because we want people to actually go in the theaters and watch it. We're going to take a small break, I guess. No, we have something else lined up.
Yeah, no, we have actually a nice, we have obviously getting Errol to speak a little. He grins more than actually speaking, and he, you know, look, see, it's yours. Anyways, wanted to ask you about the experiences when working with Spielberg and, you know, all those major productions, international-wise. How was it like?
It was experience, and everything was well planned. And Spielberg storyboards his scenes, so it's very easy to work with him. So we know what, if you're building a set, we know how much to build, and what to build and what not to build.
So comparatively, it's easy to work with him.
Easy to work with him, very easy.
All right, amazing.
You should realize that Errol is not going to talk for too long. He's going to tell you what you are.
Yeah, that's it. No, he's going to grin for the rest of the time.
As promised, a small break. We'll be back soon. Little Ricky Martin early morning. And of course, we are in conversation with the film team. One of the members is not here at the moment. Let's talk about his role. Who can explain to us the role that Mr. Ravindra Randenia plays in this? He's been in the studio, not as part of the film team, but on a different level with us before. So, who can explain?
Okay, back to me. Right. Well, his experience in front of the camera, as well as his knowledge of what needs to be done, also is an advantage to us. And then knowing the people and having the correct connections, because to get a movie done, once you show a location, as a professional, you should be able to get permission to film at that location. If you show something and you go back on your word, then the producers begin to doubt you. So he plays a very important role when it comes to negotiate, to speak to people concerned, help us in securing locations, and he's there on set to see that everything works out. So really, he is the Sri Lankan production supervisor, chairman of the company, as well as gives us the strength to get together and move forward. So when we get an inquiry demanding locations, so we run up to him, no option, and then once we work out things, then Errol and I start on seeing the locations for this thing, and then we start putting up a database. Sometimes we can get it from this thing, and we put a website if we have pictures from our database, but then we realize over a certain period of time the locations also change. Because you might go have a picture about 3 or 4 months ago and might fit, Errol might say, okay, this might fit, but then Errol says, no, let's go back, make sure there is no lamppost or another telecommunication tower that has come up and hindered or blocked the location view. If it's a period film, then we are having a problem. So those are things that matter. So Ravi is there to help us to get a team effort together in heading production.
So Errol, when you take when you go scouting for locations, what do you see as a main change in Sri Lanka right now? Because everything's spiced up a little bit, it's modernized, it's changing. What do you see the differences when you used to scout for locations then and now?
Yeah, especially in Colombo, the skyline is changing very fast. It's difficult to find locations. There are a few in Fort and Peta, that area that still exists. So we are lucky that we have these streets, like the street which the Cargill's building is on, and streets like that. So
Errol, also some of the buildings which had that old archaic beauty, they're being done up all over again in the same way that they used to be. Do you think that would be an advantage for someone like you who's looking for locations, scouting for locations?
Yeah, it is a great advantage to us.
That's all he's going to say about it. I figured. Time to ask Ainsley. Working with all three of these individuals as the line manager, who puts up the most tantrums?
I would say me. Because I have to get the things done, in the sense within the framework that I'm given. So I would say me.
So say you all have a difference of opinion, because say Errol wants a particular place and a particular set on it, and you don't think it's commercially viable. How do you sort your problem out?
No, I think over the years we have learned that all those locations are workable, and it's a matter of management, and it can be done. And we are very sensitive to the people who own the places and who are living in there, that we are able to negotiate and handle it in the proper manner, because Ravi is in the forefront of things and he's got a very good reputation, and he talks to people and is able to convince them that this is the right way to go with the location, and we leave the location better than what it was at all times. so that they are always happy to give it to us another day.
So he plays Prince Charming for the team.
But at the same time, even though the company is 7 years old, we have been buddies for a long, long time. So over the years, we have learned each other, understood each other, and got along with each other. Well, I mean, no one is perfect, so, well, but when an initial inquiry comes, we all sit together and decide, because the budget is of the prime importance. Gone are the days that you can think of, okay, it's a Bollywood or a Hollywood big budget movie. Everyone is concerned about rupees and cents, that's the bottom line. So 4 of us get together, then we decide. Errol comes up with his ideas about the locations, then ASC talks about the logistics, I put the figures together. And
so I guess when rupees and cents count, it doesn't hurt to have 2 accountants in the team as well. It's time for a commercial break. We have some commercials to take on. We'll be back soon. Well, since we have just about 6.5 minutes on the clock, we need to talk about once again the movie which is just being released today. It's going to be in theaters in Colombo today. Is it going to be released around the island as well?
No, it starts with Colombo and then we move it around.
Okay.
All right, so Midnight Children is going to be screened at the Majestic Cineplex in Colombo, and you can catch it there. We have Deepa Mehta, what she had to say about the movie.
So thrilled and so pleased that you will be seeing Midnight Children in Sri Lanka, the country that actually made the filming of the film possible. The President of Sri Lanka, his incredible team, Lalit, and of course our team there. Ravi, Ainsley, Gopi, and the brilliant Errol and his brilliant art team. All of you really made the whole process of shooting Midnight Children so easy, so warm, and so beautiful. I mean, when you see the film, all of you, you'll see why it is so special. And if it wasn't for Sri Lanka, the film wouldn't be screened. I wish I was there with you tonight, but sadly I'm stuck here in Toronto with it snowing and being miserable, which I'm sure will be so lovely in Colombo right now. Do enjoy the film, and thank you from the bottom of my heart making this.
Well, gentlemen, let me ask you something very importantly. Why did they pick Sri Lanka to film this movie? Why Sri Lanka? They could have done this in India easily.
Well, looking at the very beginning itself, we realized that she was very straight about it, because the skyline of Mumbai has changed completely. Because when she was here for water, she saw the entire location, because she was residing in Colombo and had the movement and able to move around Colombo. That was one part of it. And fine, having worked with us, realized it would be much easier and nothing else. Whatever that needs to be done, she had the implicit faith in Errol, because the slum set was of importance. So that was one of the main concerns, and David Hamilton really expressed that is the reason that they're coming in, because you don't find the locations in any part of the world. To combine all 3 in one country, logistically, production-wise, everything was to their advantage. I mean, so that's the main reason that Deepa chose Sri Lanka.
And I think we also need to add here that we are talking of 3 locations, India, Pakistan and Bangladesh, which you won't be able to do in India alone.
Yeah.
Whereas in Sri Lanka, we are able to show all 3 countries, because that's the cleverness of choosing a location that will make it work and depict that country in that manner so that it's convincing. It's like when you watch the movie, sometimes you wonder, is this Sri Lanka? Because it's like India or it's like Pakistan. But in reality, it's all done here. So that's the cleverness of the art department, to hide the fact that it was Sri Lanka, but it's Karachi or Bangladesh.
So, Errol, do we have this sort of, this magnitude of movie that we can produce locally? Sri Lankans can do it. You've just depicted 3 countries just here at home. Can we not do something on a local scale?
We can, actually. We can if we have the budget to do it.
Will the film team hope to do something like that in the future?
We'd like to.
If you would want to say the constraining factors which would hold you back from doing a production like that, what would those be? Who do we go to? We go to Gopi with this?
Well, there may be many reasons for it. As Errol said, budget is of prime importance, because like unless you put something on the screen, all the money on the screen is not going to be of any value for the viewer. Because we have realized it's the end product that matters. It's difficult to move people from homes to the theatre back again. TV has come in, fine, it plays its part as well. So unless you have the proper facilities and a product of good quality, then of course we will be able to get the people back. Saying that, once again what we are trying to show is showcase Sri Lanka. This is something that we can really bring Sri Lanka back onto the map with film tourism. Other countries, you talk about New Zealand, you talk about Australia, Lord of the Rings, New Zealand has gone way there. You talk about movies, Braveheart in Scotland, 200% increase. You talk about Mission Impossible 2 in Sydney, 200% increase. If you have a Bollywood movie that comes here, or a Hollywood movie, there's ways and means of promoting this destination as they said. But sadly, none of these sets are available. So we are looking, film team is looking at making sure that the movies that we are going to do in the future, that there is something that the people of Sri Lanka can visit and see for themselves, as well as entice the tourists, because people, once they see a movie, would love to see the location as well. So that's what we are trying to promote as a film team, to bring Sri Lanka back as the ideal filming location in Southeast Asia.
And that's a brilliant message to the masses out there as well. Thank you very much to all three of you for being here.
Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity.
So, have a nice day and bye-bye.